Basic Appraisal Principles, page 558. Chapter 19, Glossary Review. Number 1. In a microeconomic or marketability study, appraisers use the same data for their analysis as is used for a macroeconomic study. Only it is applied to a specific property or class of property. Number 2, an economic base is the economic activity that allows business to generate income from outside the immediate community, as well as inside the community. Number 3, in a feasibility study, the appraisers conduct an analysis of an investment to determine if it will meet the objectives of the investor in a cost-effective manner while producing a profit. Number 4, an economic base analysis is a survey of business industries and employment for the area. Number 5, when conducting analysis, the appraiser should understand the relevance of the following forces that create value: demand, utility, scarcity, and transferability. Number 6, a macroeconomic or market study is a study of the overall general market conditions of a general area, including analysis and trending of supply and demand, demographics, price levels, absorption rates, financing, and wage levels. Number 7, an investment analysis is a study of the likely return from an investment based on the investor's criteria. Page 559 was just the Chapter 19 Glossary Review answers. Page 560, Chapter 19 Quiz. Number 1, an appraiser is developing an appraisal located in a northern state, part of the Rust Belt. The appraiser's research reveals that several businesses have closed their doors and that in the last census, a population shift was observed, with the age groups over 55 experiencing the least change, and the age groups from 18 through 45 experienced a loss in population, mainly through migration to other parts of the country. The appraiser incorporates these findings into an appraisal report, and it is part of A, a feasibility study, B, an economic base analysis, C, a marketability study, or D, a highest and best use analysis. The answer is B, an economic base analysis. Number 2, two communities exist in the same relatively rural county in a large state. One community is located around a major university, and the auxiliary businesses are basically high tech, requiring employees to have a minimum of a college degree, and in some cases, an advanced degree. The other community is located in a very rural corner of the county, where the typical employee works a blue collar job and has a high school education, GED or less. The appraiser finds that in the first community, real estate values are rising. The current absorption rate indicates a less than 6-month supply of housing, and the typical purchaser is 35 years old. In the second community, real estate values have remained static for several years. The absorption rate indicates an 8-month supply of housing, and the typical purchaser is 45 years old. A client is using this analysis to determine where to locate some proposed housing. This is a highest and best use analysis. B, a market study, macroeconomic. C, a marketability study, microeconomic. Or D, an economic base analysis. The answer is B, a market study, specifically macroeconomic. Number 3, a builder has hired an appraiser to help him determine whether he should build garden condos in a 55 and older community. The appraiser will consider demographics, price levels, financing, and supply and demand. This is A, marketability study, microeconomic. B, a market study, macroeconomic. C, an economic base analysis. Or D, a highest and best use analysis. The answer is A, a marketability study, specifically microeconomic. Number 4, a potential investor hires an appraiser to perform a consulting assignment. The appraiser will evaluate an existing income-producing property in terms of risk, rate of return, income projections, and make a recommendation to the investor regarding his acquisition price of the property, within the parameters of the investor's goals. This is A, a feasibility study. B, a market study, macroeconomic. C, an investment analysis / study. Or D, an economic base analysis. The answer is C, an investment analysis / study. And lastly, number 5, a potential builder / investor is considering whether to build a retail strip mall. She needs to know if the project is worth pursuing. The appraiser she has hired to consult will be considering the demand in the market for more retail outlets, current and future supply of retail outlets, the demographics of the area, and population trends. This is A, an investment analysis / study. B, a market study, macroeconomic. C, an economic base analysis. Or D, a feasibility analysis / study. The answer is D, a feasibility analysis / study. Page 561 was just the Chapter 19 quiz answers. Page 562 is blank. Page 563, Unit 8, Introduction to Approaches to Value. Chapter 20, Sales Comparison Approach and Introduction. Chapter 21, The Cost Approach and Introduction. Chapter 22, The Income Capitalization Approach and Introduction. Learning objectives. When you have finished reading the chapters in Unit 8, you should be able to discuss the 3 approaches to value, recognize the strengths and weaknesses of each approach to value, evaluate the relationship to economic principles and how participants respond to them, and explain how each approach to value has a methodized process. Page 564 is blank. Page 565, Chapter 20, Sales Comparison Approach and Introduction. Page 566, Definition. The sales comparison approach to value is a method of estimating market value, whereby a subject's properties characteristics are compared with other similar comparable competing properties that have recently sold in a similar transaction, are listed for sale, or are under contract. The sales comparison approach is based on the principle that the market value of a property is directly related to the prices of comparable competitive properties. This essentially is stating that the market determines the price or value. The sales comparison approach to value is also called the market comparison approach or the market data approach. Applicability of the sales comparison approach to value. In residential appraisals, more emphasis is placed on the sales comparison approach to value than the income or cost approaches. This approach is generally easier for the non-appraiser to understand and is recognized as a reliable indicator of value because it is derived from and based on the direct activity of the market participants. However, this approach to value can only be used when there are sufficient sales transactions to indicate a market pattern. The sales comparison approach to value can be used to develop market value for improved properties, vacant land, and all types of property interests when there are sufficient sales transactions representative of the property interest to indicate a pattern. Special purpose properties would likely not be valued using the sales comparison approach because of the limited number of sales transactions. Strengths / / weaknesses of the sales comparison approach to value. The sales comparison approach to value is widely used, specifically in residential appraisals. There are many reasons why this method of valuation is well received. Its simplicity makes it easy to follow and understand for both the appraiser and the intended user. The vast array of available data allow for reliable analysis and conclusions, offering credibility to the results. To further substantiate the results, the appraiser is able to use comparable properties that are both inferior and superior to the subject property, allowing the appraiser to establish a value range for the subject property. The availability of active listings allows the appraiser to establish a ceiling on the opinion of market value. Page 567. The use of historical data, such as number of sales, prices, etc., to delineate past and current trends may allow the appraiser to interpret future trends. The analysis is a direct result of market activity. The appraiser uses data directly extracted and observed by the appraiser regarding the actions of the buyers and sellers. Data available to appraisers allows for many types of analysis through spreadsheets, statistical analysis, and graphic analysis. Allows the appraiser to value properties using as-if analysis. On the flip side, there are also drawbacks to this type of analysis. The appraiser is relying on the accurate recording of data by others. For example, if the appraiser is using the local multiple listing service provided by the local real estate appraiser association, the analysis is only as reliable as the data that was entered. If there is limited data available, accurate analysis cannot occur. For example, properties with unique features will likely not have enough comparable sales to conduct reliable analysis. In such a case, the sales comparison analysis is not a viable option. Relationship to economic principles. The sales comparison approach to value is determined by the actions of buyers and sellers in the market in response to the influences of supply and demand. In turn, the economic principle of supply and demand is influenced by the economic principles of supply and demand, substitution, contribution, balance, change, and externalities. The underlying principles of the sales comparison approach to value are these economic principles and how the market participants respond to them. See figure 20.1. Supply and demand. The prices of properties are a direct result of the actions of buyers and sellers. Through negotiations, buyers and sellers reach terms agreeable to both parties. The results of these negotiations affect the purchase price of the property. In these transactions, buyers represent the demand and sellers represent the supply. Appraisers estimate the demand by evaluating the number of potential buyers for a specified property type. The desires of these buyers and their effective purchasing power. The supply is estimated by analyzing the total number of available active listings, pending listings, new construction, planned conversions, and other planned properties.